see me? Can you hear me? Can you let me know if Jeff is pressing buttons yet again? Because it looks like he is so far. Jeff is definitely involved somewhere along the lines. Let me know what Gwan and Ting. Is this actually working? Loud and clear. Fantastic stuff. Cheers, Steve. How you doing, mate? You alright? I am Andy. How's things? You okay? Let's see if I can get Botrix joining correctly at some point. Saf, how you doing, mate? Congratulations, greetings and salutations even. We'll see if Botrix will join. Cheers, Steve. Yeah, I'm feeling better as well. I've had a couple of good nights sleep, which has really helped. Surprising, even though I think, when was it? Friday night, Saturday morning, I had 5 hours sleep, but it was 5 hours unbroken, and that was fantastic. Worked wonders. Really helped. And then today, same thing. I had again about 6 hours unbroken sleep, which has helped. Although I am exhausted again because I went for a walk today while it was dry, while it was not stormy, and I managed to do a fair amount of walking. Probably more than I should have done in one, or more than I should have attempted in one go. Because by the time I got 3/4 of the way through it, I was starting to feel a little bit lacking in the energy to get home. So I had to really take my time getting back. And now, ever since I've done it, which was about, I don't know, was it 1 o'clock? 1 o'clock this afternoon. My legs have been sore and I've been exhausted. But I got the steps under my belt, which has helped. Wednesday got beat, did they? I never saw that. And South Africa through to the semis, good stuff. Bafana, the boys, that means, doesn't it? Or Bafina, if you're talking about your fish. The fish boys. Yeah, should have put that up really, shouldn't I? See, we're talking about football. Jeff, will you just... Jeff's pissing about with the stream deck yet again. Unfortunately. Shakira, yeah. Your keeper saved 4 penalties in the shootout. That means he will be joining a huge European club at some point, won't he? That's what normally happens. You have a couple of good games, you have a good tournament, and then some of the big boys start circling. Norwich beat Coventry. Good win, yep. There's something, I don't know, Norwich versus Coventry, there's a little bit, I don't know, is it late 80s? Sort of late 80s for me. I seem to remember Norwich playing Coventry a lot back then, and they probably didn't play at all. It's just my mind playing tricks on me. I didn't go yesterday, Steve. No, I've got to be absolutely 100% before I can manage to get to the games these days, on account of the fact that I've got to drive there, and it was an early kick-off. So I give it another swerve. I'm hoping I will get to another game in the next 2 or 3 that we play, because I am missing it. But at the same time, like I say, if I've got to drive all the way there on my own, and then I've got to make sure that I've got enough energy and I'm sound and things, and then drive all the way back, I've got to make sure I'm 100%, otherwise no can do. Maybe if I had a couple of decent nights sleep before the game, I might have been alright, but I didn't. Hadwig, goedenavond. Hoe gaat het? Ben je goed? Nice to see you. To see you, nice. How we all doing? Have we all got storms? I don't even know what this one's called, but it's definitely raging outside at the moment. I went out to take a little picture of the sky earlier on, which I put on Instagram. And while I was out there, you could feel it. You could feel the storm building. And it was horrible. So yeah, that I think is going to be raging all night by the sound of it. Let's have a quick look. See what the weather says for tonight. See whether or not this wind is going to stay the way it says it's going to earlier. Moderate, 39 kilometres an hour. Moderate, yes. My arse, it's moderate. Yeah, it's going to stay the same until 2050 by the look of it. Ridiculous. Did I know that you'd signed Sidney van Hooijdonk? I'm presuming that is the son of Pierre van Hooijdonk, the ex-Nottingham Forest and Celtic striker. I did not know that. Hopefully he'll be a decent player for you. Hope he gets as good as his dad was. His dad was a very good player. And of course, in the Premier League at the moment, we've also got Justin Kluivert, who's Patrick Kluivert's son. So we seem to have a few of them starting to come through. Next generation. Could have been me, but it wasn't. Yes, Pierre did go on strike once. I can't remember why he did that. Was it to get a move somewhere else? It's not the done thing. You're supposed to be getting snow this week. Is that just localised in North Wales, or is this for the whole of the Northwest English area? Northwest English as well as Welsh. Just pointing that out, by the way. I didn't mean North Wales is in Northwest English. You know what I mean? But it wouldn't surprise me if we did get it, because it does feel a bit sort of weird out there. And I know we have that occasionally with the low pressure, and whatever comes down, we get the polar vortex. So all of a sudden we can get snow for no reason in the north. Up in north. Sydney is named after the Olympics in Sydney. Ah, right. And Justin Kluivert, because his dad was Justin, possibly, I don't know. Hogwash. That's a proper English saying, that one. And yes, he didn't end up like Nile Ranger. What an absolute lunatic he was. Didn't have his own name tattooed on his neck. Nile Ranger. I presume you mean the footballer Nile Ranger, not a ranger who's on the Nile somewhere. Wildlife, naturey. You didn't take it seriously, man. This could be serious. This, you know what it's like up north. It can snow tomorrow. You can be sunbathing today, and it could be snowing tomorrow. You're all wearing t-shirts and shorts on the East Coast. Yep. Be thankful. You don't have to come too far further north before it can change in the blink of an eye. You just get more rain next week, had a week, yep. It's 10 degrees. I think it's about 10 or 11 here at the moment. I think. What are we on? Yeah, 11 degrees here at the moment. But like I say, when you're in Northern Europe, all of a sudden, if there's just a drop in the, whatever they call it, the low pressure and high pressure fronts, somebody can drop down from the Arctic and then just within the space of a day or two, it can drag in really, really cold weather, which is stupid. He had a tattooed on his face. Yeah, why would you tattoo your own name in case you end up in Memento? Probably because he's that much of an idiot that he might need a reminder of it. Was it the right way round or was it backwards? So when he looked in the mirror, Niall, me, no. Half-wit. Hasn't he been in prison a few times? The last time I heard of him, he was playing non-league football. Considering he was Premier League, wasn't he? And he was being spoken about in terms of England under 21 and what have you. All of a sudden to end up playing non-league football and be in and out of jail every 5 minutes. What a half-wit. You prefer balderdash. Is that like a combination of Baldrick and Ashcroft? Because there are several days a week where I wake up feeling very much like a combination thereof. If it does snow, don't say you didn't warn us, right? Well, you see, it might do because today, highs of 12, lows of 8. Tomorrow, highs of 10, lows of 9. Tuesday, highs of 11, lows of 2 degrees Celsius. And then for the rest of the next week and a half, it is 2-3 degrees as a low. So there's a very, very good chance that it will snow up north starting Tuesday. And if it does, I will let you know all about it. It'll be on Instagram and also on the stream on Wednesday. I will put pictures up if it snows again like I did last time. It's cray. It's 23 degrees there. Of course, it is lovely summer. Is it summer or is it autumn yet? Summery day in the lower hemisphere. There you are, bot. Have you given up saying you've joined correctly, or is this down to me pissballing about not getting it right? Yes, you prefer Khalil. The exercises, I did me walking. That's about all I had the energy to do today. And I did a couple of stretching things. It's I need to take a couple of days next week and write it down on my whiteboard. On this day I'm doing this and this, and then plan it out. So I've got 4 or 5 different little things that I do. I can't do them all in one go because if I do, I'll be asleep for the next 3 days. But if I split them up into what I think works, I can do a couple this day, a couple the next day. But I definitely need to get planning on what to do this week. Hopefully I'll have a bit more energy as well, because I've not had any energy at all to do any exercises for the last week and a half, 2 weeks. Mid-March you start getting the colder days. Yeah, mid-March we end up getting the warmer days, so it is just like yin-yang, isn't it? What you lose out on, we start getting, only nowhere near as warm, obviously. Is it March? We've got a great saying over here. March comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb. I think it's a fantastic phrase. A to-do list, yes, Mandy. A very much to-do list, but I have to make sure that it's planned out correctly. I can't concentrate too much on doing one type of activity. Not too much of the ducky, grabby stuff. Otherwise you end up really sore. So that mixture of probably a little bit of that and some of the longer arm stretches and pointing to the hours on the clock to try and get my left arm moving, because that is just, it's not moving anywhere near as much as it should do. Never mind the fingers, it's the arm's not moving enough either. And I'm not happy with that one. Mart, roots and start is what you say. Yeah, so It roars its beginning, it roars its start. Similar kind of thing to what we have. And it really does, because the beginning of March, end of February, that really is proper full-on winter. And by the time it's finished and you go into April, spring can have properly sprung. Playing video games, I should have played today, but I ended up... What was I doing? I was doing something else earlier. This is how bad it is, I can't remember what I was doing earlier. After me walk, I did something. It'll come back to me. Yeah, you need to get a few more Southern Hemisphere individuals to help you out. Spread the word, man. Spread the word. Drag people along, kicking and screaming. That's what we need. I've got plenty of friends in the Southern Hemisphere, but most of them are in Australia, and just I don't think they're remotely interested in me sitting in front of a camera. So, plus I think, if I remember rightly, they'll be at work when I'm doing this kind of thing, because they're a lot further ahead, aren't they? But yeah, I will. Yeah, a bit of video games. I'll need to try that. That was working quite well, and unfortunately, I just haven't had the energy to do anything. Even sat on the sofa playing video games takes a lot out of me. But I was doing something earlier. Really is going to annoy me. I'm trying to think, was it something important? Nah, probably not. Although the sky was lovely earlier. So I was sitting there trying to work out at what point I can get out and try and record some videos. Hopefully. Record some driving videos this week. And some skies. Some sunsets, because it was lovely tonight. Really orangey, red and purple. Looked gorgeous. Steve, you got round to watching Forgotten Battle last night. It's a good movie. Good. I like that we share stuff like this on here. Oh yeah, that reminds you how many songs make a film a musical. What a fantastic question that is. Is this something that there's an actual amount, or is this just, to me, it's not a musical if there's only this amount in there? Anyone got any ideas on that? Is there a tipping point? Is it just a film with music in until you get to about 8, and then all of a sudden it's the tipping point and that becomes a musical? I don't know. What do you think? Oh yeah, I did think of something now. I thought I was going to do a Q&A for Jeff. So if anyone wanted to ask Jeff any questions, let me know, and I'll see if I can get him to answer them for next week or for Wednesday. Did many Dutch lads fight for the Germans? There was a rather small party called the NSB that sided with the Germans. Some of its supporters joined the SS, but in general, the Germans were despised. Yeah, I didn't realise there was. We moved there in 1982, so it wasn't that long, really, after the war, to be honest with you. So some of the older teachers and sort of the parents and grandparents of my friends, they were kids during the war. And because Enschede was on the border, they despised the Germans with a passion. Because of what they had to go through, what the parents had to go through. Just seeing people massacred and being left homeless and having to survive on like tulip bulbs, living in a field, eating tulip bulbs just so you had something in your stomach. There was no such thing as forgetting and forgiving. Not a chance. Would This Is Spinal Tap be considered as a musical? Good question, Mandy. Any idea how many songs make it a musical? And would Spinal Tap be considered a musical or a music film? Is there a difference? What is the classification of a musical? Is there something... It's not just a film with music in it, is it? Can't be. Otherwise, they'd all be musicals. Casper, how you doing, mate? Good to see you. Many Dutch men were forced into labour in Germany. Oh, one of your grandfathers was amongst them. He was taken and forced into work in a factory in Dresden. That's horrific. Absolutely horrific. I always find it funny as well that we've got this entire generation of people um, that are trying to kick foreigners out of this country and always wearing the British bulldog on the chest and normally throwing plastic furniture around town squares in European countries, going on about we should go back and fight this and we should go back to a time when Britain had balls and stuff like this. And I think, stop trying to fetishize World War II. I spoke to people of my granddad's age and above, who were in the war, who were kids when it was happening or actually fought in the war, and they did not want to talk about it at all. It wasn't seen as something heroic, wasn't seen as something interesting to talk about. It was seen as something to completely and utterly forget about because it was horrific. So all the stuff about lest we forget, a lot of those people that were there would rather forget, and would rather that the people that keep wanging on about it either forget about all of it or go out of your way now to stop it from ever happening again. Stop all this war bollocks. And this is going to have to be the US and the UK. Stop bombing places for no fucking reason whatsoever. Horrific. Right, so the famine was a result of a railway strike by the Dutch railway workers to frustrate the Germans and cause the disruption of the food distribution from the rural areas to the urban areas. Well, I didn't know that. But it does make sense. And then you were left to pay the price. Just horrific, man. You watch Team America, that's a musical. Now, see, I wouldn't say it was a musical. I would say it was a film with music in it. But it's an interesting question. But I suppose there'd be films with less music in it that I would class as being a musical. Is Mary Poppins a musical? How many songs are in that compared to, I don't know, Team America? How do your granddad survived? Married your nan, had lots of children, amongst which was your mum. Good. To bring on the next generation who hopefully will never have to go through anything like that ever again. There's too many people that seem to love war. I like the idea of conscription. And all those football lads who are constantly guarding the monuments all around the country. Send them first. If that's what you want to do. Strap a rifle on the back and see how brave they are. It's got 12 songs. Calamity Jane has got 8. Well, Calamity Jane's a musical though. This is about the thing I don't know. Just because it's got songs in it, does it make it a musical? It's a very good question, that though. Films have got the most songs in them that are not a musical. We need to know these things. One thing you're proud of is that South Africa is the only country to voluntarily dismantle the nuclear weapons program. I know Ukraine got rid of a lot of their nuclear weapons on the strict understanding that the Russians would never ever invade or try to re-annex any part of what is currently Ukraine. It's just ridiculous. So that lasted really long, didn't it? And now they're stuck. Nederland is probably going to bring back conscription. Right, you never stopped it, but people didn't have to show until now. I seem to remember when my dad played for FC20, there was a player called Evert Blooming who played for them, and he had to go and do his national service, and this was in 1982. So they still had at least a sort of a version of national service back then. But it's mad, that, isn't it? Conscription will only happen if it comes to defend our own shores. Which means that it'll never come back. It will never happen. No one's going to be stupid enough to try and invade They might bomb the shit out the place. They might drop a nuclear bomb on the UK. They're never going to try and invade because it's just pointless. It's absolutely pointless. Never try and invade an island. Bad things happen. Well, that'd be no good anyway. I could be like Bill Pertwee in Dad's Army. I could go around making sure people turn the lights off. That's about it, really. That's as much as I can get away with. What was his name? Was it Hodgkins? No, was it? I can't remember. Don't like Dad's Army. Because the increased risk of war with Russia, it might be brought back next year. The government has still got to debate it. I don't think there's ever going to be a war with Russia either. Again, it's just down to nuclear weapons, isn't it? And Russia are not stupid enough to start dropping them because the US has got bases all round the perimeter of Russia. And as soon as the first one gets launched, Russia will be wiped off the map. Because you can see Joe Biden seems to have a nice little itchy trigger finger, doesn't he? Yes, the nuclear deterrent. It's not deterring anyone at the moment, isn't it? And while we're at it, Biden and Sunak, stop bombing Syria, Yemen, Iraq. You know, because some American soldiers were killed with weapons provided by Iraq or Iran, which is not, it's not on apparently. Wait till you find out what Israel are doing with American weapons in Gaza. How many people are dying from that? An older friend's uncle worked during the war against the Germans. Covert sabotage. They got the weapons from drops by British pilots. Were killed the day before the war ended. Oh man, how bad's that? Awful stuff, man. Joe Biden has an arthritic trigger finger. He's turning into an absolute lunatic, that man. It's bang out of order. Stop killing people. I know it makes money for people like Halliburton and all those huge companies that actually run the US. But we need to stop doing it. It's got to stop, man. It's got to stop. If Russia invades the Baltics, NATO and the EU might not respond because they don't want to, or because they want to avoid nuclear war. Again, I don't think Putin's stupid enough to do it, or rather, he might be, but there's people around him who will not allow him to do that. The oligarchs won't allow him to do it because they're making too much money as it is. Kirsty, how you doing? Sorry, the chat's just gone crazy and ping, ping, ping. I'm missing all kinds, but you didn't have to show for conscription since 1997. You turned 18 in 1998, so you're lucky you missed out on it. Steve, you're too old and fat to fight. No, you're not, mate. But you'd rather die fighting than not. I think anyone would do if there was a chance of the UK being taken over by a foreign power. It's not going to happen, no. I think so. The next war is going to be fought by teenagers. It'll be drones everywhere. It'll be people miles away from the front with PlayStation controllers. That'll be about it. Putin was stupid enough to invade Ukraine. That wasn't really a stupid move on his part, though, because he knew full well he had people that were willing to allow him to get away with that. And that was just pushing the envelope slightly. If he'd decided, I don't know, to suddenly go into Finland or Poland or something, I think there'd be a slightly different outcome for that one. Trump apparently said he was allowed to take Ukraine. Trump being a lunatic anyway. Yeah, I don't mind if you go and just invade a sovereign country because, you know, you feel like it's yours. While there's religion, there will be wars, absolutely. Religion has caused more war and more death and destruction than anything else in history. Just gotta put your bread in the oven. Ooh, freshly baked bread. Botrix is being mean. Botrix, I don't even think is it awake, alive? There's a beer somewhere. Are you working? Oh, it's definitely logged in and everything though. There's trench warfare going on in Ukraine. Most people by far there still die by artillery. Yeah, because the Ukraine are not allowed weapons that are too big, and the Russians are too poor to have anything of any modern weapons. So it is literally just get in there and fight. Could be stopped tomorrow if they really wanted to. The world could stop it if they wanted to, but again, there's too much money being made. Bot needed bot kicking. Yes, it does, Mandy. So, how do we could have a surprise bun in the oven and Saf's going to make a sandwich? This is all interlinked. There's definitely something bready going on. You don't want a surprise bun in the oven. You at least want a clue. Oh man, stiff as a wanker's hanky. I need to get the heat lamp out later, I think. Get it on my shoulder and my neck. Yeah, war is stupid, but for some reason it makes money. It makes a huge amount of money to companies that make weapons and munitions and things. So, like I say, Halliburton, one of the big ones in the US that are constantly pushing for wars because it makes them more and more cash. How much money is too much money? How much is enough? And these people sleep at night, fantastic, because they don't really care. It's not human life, it's just figures. How many people died? Doesn't matter. How many of our bombs did they use? How much did they cost? How many are they going to replace it with? Putin only has to pull back. If he does, then no one will have a bun in the oven. He looks like he hasn't got long left for this world, to be honest with you, Putin. Just every time I've seen him, he looks... I know he looks like he's aged. He has aged, obviously, but he's starting to look proper old and a little bit shaky in the hand, which I know is a terrible thing, being shaky in the hand. Oh yeah, you know, terrible, that, isn't it? Yep, you're right, Casper. War is young people that don't know each other killing each other on behalf of old men that all know each other. It is. It's exactly what it is. If you want peace, prepare for war. You can't remember who said it. That does sound familiar, that though, and I can't think myself either. But it is right. There'll never be an end to war, though. We could have peace if we wanted it, as John Lennon sang, but not while there's that much money being made. The corporations just don't care. I mean, the world is burning. It will eventually burn. The ice caps will melt. New York will be underwater. And all these bank, and the bank will be underwater. There'll be no one to spend it, no one to count it. But they're not interested in saving anything, fixing anything. It's all about making as much cash as possible. Vote for Fergal Sharkey is what I say. Yeah, you can't think either, Kirsty. Yeah, it's definitely is a famous quote, and someone Google it. I can barely move. I'm going on getting I'm going on about getting the heat lamp out because my shoulders hurting now. I'm sat here in front of two lamps which are burning the face off me. Publius Flavius, who sounds very much like from Up Pompeii. It's not just the money. Iran isn't being a pain for money, it just hates the West. It does and it doesn't. Iran was alright until the UK and the US went in there and changed it from being a sovereign nation, a kingdom, to then having presidents and what have you who were very, very, very Muslim, fundamentalist, Islamic fundamentalist is the phrase I was looking for. So you had, back in the, wherever it was, 40s, 50s, 60s, before Kermit Roosevelt went in there, yeah, it was all right. They changed it to be in this place now where it's a hotbed of Al Qaeda, ISIS, all that kind of stuff. And again, the UK and the US are the biggest bastards on earth for doing this. Keep the whole of the Middle East bubbling away by supporting Israel and Saudi Arabia. Now, Iran doesn't like Saudi Arabia or Israel, but keeping them two against Iran is just keeping the whole thing bubbling over. And again, it's all done because if you keep the Middle East bubbling over, at any point you can just bomb the shit out of the place and then go and jump in and nick the oil that you want. Iran had a king backed by the West until the Muslims took over. It was the UK and the US that went in and got rid of the king. They brought in... I watched a thing on that. It was it BP or one of the oil companies used to run the place. Kermit Roosevelt was involved, and they pissed around with it that much until it became completely destabilised. And then when the Muslims come over and took over, it's because there was a power vacuum there. This happens all the time whenever we are involved anywhere. There's always a power vacuum, and it's always the worst people on earth who take it over. They're the only ones that have got the power to take over this vacuum. I know, it's stupid, and we have never learned our lesson. Well, they're not interested in learning the lesson. Otherwise, they wouldn't keep on doing it, would they? They say it happened in Libya. They got rid of Colonel Gaddafi, and then Al Qaeda and ISIS took over, and that's become a hotbed of terrorism worldwide. The same with Iraq. You get rid of Saddam Hussein, think you're doing the world a favour, and then the world becomes far more dangerous because he's not there to control the people that are in that country. There's always, everywhere we go, we leave a power vacuum. It's always filled by the lunatics. King of Iran lives in the US. Yep. The US also backed the Taliban against Russia. It did. It backed the Mujahideen, and then the Mujahideen turned tail, so they then backed the Taliban against the Mujahideen. Then the Taliban turned tail, so they then started financing Al Qaeda against the Taliban. This keeps on going and going and going. Every terrorist organisation on earth has had some kind of funding from US and the UK. We love it, absolutely love it. Constant, absolute chaos all over the world. No one, everyone hates us. Needs to stop interfering, man. Stop getting involved. Yeah, I still haven't watched that yet, mate. No, it's where did I find it? Did I say where I found it? Oh, Sky, wasn't it? Sorry. In fact, yeah, I should have recorded it onto the Skybox. I'll be able to watch that. I still haven't got around to watching it yet, mate. No, I will do that though. US does seem to back quite a few people, yeah. Always doing it. This idea that if they're against the Russians, then they must be good, so we'll give them loads of money and weapons. Well, they're not good, as we've soon found out, because... So if you don't learn your lesson from that, you finance these people, and then years later they go and do something like that, you're never going to learn a lesson. That should have been the one there, the US especially. It should have been a wake-up call. The people, instead of going out looking for revenge, normal US citizens should have turned on their own government. You're causing this by going around causing trouble around the world. Stop it. Stop assassinating South American presidents because you don't like the way they run their country. Otherwise, the next sort of 9/11 thing could come from South America. Just stop interfering in other people's countries. They don't like it. They don't like it. Right, obviously no spoilers, right? I'll get on that as quick as possible because I like all that kind of stuff. There's a great comedy stand-up show by Rob Newman. Used to be Newman and Baddiel. Very, very smart lad, very politically savvy. And it's about oil, the hunt for oil, and how it's affected the world. And he mentions about Iran, how it was all right until we turned up, and all the stuff with, I'm sure it was BP. But yeah, it's worth watching. He also mentions the fact that the whole world could bankrupt the US overnight if they felt like it, just by changing what they pay for oil. Everyone pays in dollars at the moment. Iraq, under Saddam Hussein, decided, no, we're not going to pay in dollars anymore. We're going to start paying in euros. And then the euros to dollars conversion meant that they ended up making loads of money on it. Then I think North Korea decided to do it. And then Venezuela were going to do it as well. So of course those three countries ended up having all kinds of trouble with the US, because if everyone did that and started paying in euros, all the dollars that are currently in people's bank accounts would be sent back to the Federal Reserve in the US, and it'd be virtually worthless overnight. So at some point, if some of the rest of the world are not happy with what's happening, just start trading oil in euros or in yen or wherever you want to do them in, not dollars, and they'll be absolutely bankrupt within days. So you never know, it could happen one of these days. Ready Player One is now on Netflix. I didn't see that. We sent the SAS to train the Khmer Rouge to plant landmines to stop the Chinese getting a foothold in Cambodia. That ended well, didn't it, with the Khmer Rouge? Pol Pot and all his merry band of men. We just seem to do this all around the world. Get involved with the worst possible people, and then just your average person in the street ends up paying the ultimate price for us pissing about. The US is a consumer state. They don't produce anything to fund themselves. Yeah, I think they're another one that would so over-reliant on imports that it could be an absolutely awful thing for them if the rest of the world turned on them. UK is the same. All our manufacturing went with Maggie Thatcher. So we're in a position where we can't do anything. Everything has to be imported. So what do? Brexit. Make it more difficult to import all the stuff that we need to. Just, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. The country's not big enough to produce what we need to produce. The weather's not right. The US probably could if they wanted to, but they're just so reliant on, yeah, like you say, it's an oil-based economy and on imports. Yeah, Gaddafi wanted to start an African single currency that would destabilise the US dollar. Yeah. Again, this comes down to paying for oil in anything other than dollars. So Iraq did it and got invaded. Libya did it and got invaded. North Korea did it and got threatened to be invaded. Venezuela were talking about doing it and then got a preemptive punishment beaten. If they'll all of them stuck together, though, there'll be nothing that the United States will be able to do about it. Absolutely nothing. And I suppose if OPEC wanted to just start saying, nah, you're all right, we're not sending you any more oil, they'd be knackered as well. And considering that the biggest known deposits of oil in the world currently lie under Russia, that'll be the next one. They'll start pushing towards it at some point in the future. When it starts running out in the Middle East, they'll be looking for any excuse to start getting into Russia. At that point, things might go mental. Yeah, so the rumor was that was the reason why he was killed, not for the 500 excuses they give. We always have this bad idea of Libya, because obviously Gaddafi was a bit of a lunatic himself. You know, the film The Dictator with Sacha Baron Cohen was, you can see that's a little bit based on him. But they were very, very financially stable. Anyone that was getting married got a gift off the government. So they had money in the bank account. If you wanted to buy a car, it would be part financed by the government. Education was through the roof. So even though he was a bit of a tyrant, the country was working quite well. The US and the UK go in there, kill him, ruin the place. Now it's just it's a hotbed of insurgency. But again, we don't learn our lesson whatsoever. And they can come up with as many excuses as they want. I think we pretty much know the facts as the reason why. Hedwig, you are typing left-handed because Drachia is on your right arm yet again. I don't worry about that. Your typing skills are not poor, mate. Don't be worried about that. At least you can both type, I can't. I'm pretty good at typing as well. I've been doing it for years. Normally quite good, both-handed, but trying to type one-handed nowadays, I'm still quicker than I'm not one finger at a time, but it's just absolute pain in the ass. Not being able to do it properly. I get out my rhythm. It's normally typing's about rhythm with me. I can't do it. I wanted to do some music earlier as well, but I still can't. All this time, I still can't play keyboard. It's anathema to me. I don't understand how anyone can play keyboard or piano. Casper, you blow my mind completely the way you can play that instrument, mate. It's the wrong shape, it's the wrong size. The hands are in the wrong position. There's no strings on the outside. Everything's wrong. Yep. So I've always blamed autocorrect or the cat. You can get away with absolute murder, can't you, with that? It was the cat what did it. Man, you're not typing because you've lost a pin. Ooh, be careful. Be very, very careful. Kirsty, you've leveled up to level 13. Fantastic stuff. Well done. Got an annoying fly in your room. Blame him. Yes. That's good enough. We'll settle for that. The best people are on level 13. Yes. Oh, this chat's going crazy tonight. It's just stuff's just constantly dripping down and disappearing off the screen that I'm reading off. Bizarro. You're the wrong shape and size as well. Maybe that's the advantage. Fair enough. Horses for courses and all that stuff. It's just because I've been playing guitar for so long. Guitar makes sense to me. Keyboard doesn't. And yet I can sort of, I can understand a little bit of it. Barnesy, how you doing, mate? Slidey texts are definitely paying off. Yep. Casper, your birthday is Friday the 13th this year. Ooh, man. Don't tell me you suffer from triskaidekaphobia. Fear of the Friday the 13th. No es bueno, man. Oh, you've got a horrible feeling that the pin is inside the bear's head. Oh, man. That's the kind of thing you'd soon find out as soon as you give it its first squeeze, its first cuddle. Yes, bears have survived worse, but yeah, you've got to be careful. Don't want that. You don't want to be giving it a squeeze and all of a sudden there's bits of blood everywhere. So if you were born on Friday the 13th, you love it. I don't get. Is anyone else on here? Is anyone? Sorry, is anyone else on here? Is anyone on here actually superstitious about stuff like that? I don't get superstition. I don't get why people get wound up by Friday the 13th or why people believe in astrology and things like that. I just don't get it. Jackie, how you doing? You don't suffer from that, Casper. That's good. You turned 13 and also 30 on a Friday. Obviously, yeah. In that case, don't worry about that. Yeah, I don't. I'm not superstitious. You know, I don't believe it at all. I don't understand why people believe in it. The only thing I would say is the one that is 100% correct is don't walk under a ladder, and that's because the ladder can either fall on you, the person up the top can drop a bucket of water on you, or a bucket of paint, or a hammer on you. That's not superstitious for me. That's just being sensible. You never know, Kirsty. I'm not getting bribed, Barnsley. I'm not getting bribed in knitted potatoes. Um, Mandy's been here from the start and doesn't miss and never shuts up. That's why she's top of the table. But Kirsty's not that far behind. Neither is Hadavik. Yeah, superstitious. Not good. It's that thing, isn't it? I haven't had a splinter in years. Touch wood. Health and safety. Health and safety gone mad. No, but it's right though. For me, that was the one that you should pay attention to. Don't walk under a ladder. Is it unlucky? Well, it fucking is if the paint pot falls on your head. Yes. How is the north of Ireland? Jackie, how's things over there? You getting hit by the storms over there as well? About it was a bit of a dad joke, that wasn't it? But I didn't even think it was worth the shout, to be honest with you. Yes, you need to spam the chat with slidey righty thingy, which I suppose will make the anybody who watches this back the video on demand confuse the life out of them because they won't have a clue what's going on. Yet we're all talking like it's normal. Being windy, a bit wet, but reasonably mild. You're pleased to say. We've had this conversation earlier. It's reasonably mild, windy and wet, but also it's going to be absolutely freezing. Chubby Duck Archive. That sounds like a very, very niche Derbyshire porn site, that one. Or Nottinghamshire. Right, so in Denmark it's going to get super cold snow from Thursday. Like, see, we're getting this from, is it Wednesday, I said? Tuesday or Wednesday it's going to start going really cold here as well, so we could end up getting a lot of snow as well. So it'll be the same in Northern Ireland, I would have thought. Watch out for the snow in the next few weeks. Cold in Northern Ireland on Thursday as well. Claggy flaps weather, yep. Claggy at the moment. Claggy Island. It is actually. Calm down a little bit out there, but still, it's quite moist, I find, today. Quite moist. Was when I was walking earlier anyway. Very moist, I found. Chubby Duck sounds like your next knitting project. You have to say it in a Derby or Nottingham or Mansfield accent though. Chubby Duck. What out my duck? Flap them claggies. Very tremory. What the fuck's tremmy? Very tremory today. Stupid bloody hand. Chubby Duck is a local Chinese restaurant. Should be. Sounds like there should be a Chubby Duck in every town, every city. They're wrapped up in PJs and you're in bed. That sounds like a very, very wise move, to be honest. Very wise. Don't venture outside. It's been so windy in the last 4 to 5 days. It's been unreasonably stormy so far, yep. That sounds a bit similar to what I was saying the other day here. Normally, we'd have 1 or 2, maybe 3 storms a year. We're getting 2 or 3 storms a week nowadays. Everything seems to have changed completely. It's on its arse, like. Yeah, what's your next project, Mandy? Anything you haven't told us about yet? What's coming up next? I'll note it in diary. Oh, speaking of which, 15 stone 7 today. And when I finish this, I'm going to have to go and take my blood pressure again. I had to go to the doctor on Friday. Was it Friday? Yeah, it was Friday. I've been checking my blood pressure and it's been a little bit high recently. So I just phoned up on Friday morning, early Friday afternoon it was, just on the off chance. Are there any appointments? They said no. So I don't worry. Any chance I can make an appointment for some time in the future? No, you have to ring up at 8 o'clock in the morning. Alright. Can I ask what the problem is? Well, yeah, I'm recovering from a stroke, which was caused by high blood pressure, and my blood pressure is high at the moment. I'll give it a call in the afternoon. So they give me a call. I said the doctor will see you at 5 o'clock. What? So went in and seen him. A rather nice North American chap. Don't know if he was American or Canadian. Sent me home to check me. Do you know how to check your own blood pressure? Yes, mate, I do. I really do. I don't need to worry about it too much. The 2 numbers, apparently, the top one, the systolic, that's the one that you need to worry about when it comes to having a stroke, and that one's okay. The lower one, the diastolic, which is, systolic means when it goes out, diastolic is sort of when it comes in and when you're at rest. That's a little bit high, so it's not as much to worry about as the other one. But he said just take it your blood pressure twice in the morning, twice in the evening for 7 days, and then we'll come back in and see us, and we'll see what's going on. But at the moment, don't worry about it. And I'm doing everything right, so hopefully should be all right. Warmer oceans mean more volatile air temperatures. They do, which is why we get loads more wind and storms and stuff. The rate that spring hits is 2 months apart from Cornwall to John O'Groats. Yes, it's a hell of a distance. That it doesn't sound like it, especially if you live somewhere big. You know, if you live in South Africa or somewhere, it's not that long. It's not a huge amount of distance, but where we are, it's just enough of a distance for it to make a huge difference. You don't hear the difference between Canadian and US accents. They do sound very similar, but there's a lot of A at the end of Canadian accents. And talking about, who's a pretty boy then? I am, Jeff. Really, Jeff. He does. He seems to be in need of a reassurance. Yeah, incredibly modest, our Jeff, isn't he? Why twice in the morning and night? You always take it twice anyway. Whenever you take it, but that's the way I was taught by the people in the hospital anyway. Take it once, leave it a minute, take it again. If one of them looks to be an outlier, one's far too high compared to the other, take a third one, and then get rid of the one that looks wrong. But then do it in the morning and in the evening to see whether or not there's something that's affecting your sleep, or there's something that you're doing during the day that might affect your eating, might affect your blood pressure, your diet, whether you've been stressed during the day at work and things like that. So they'll be able to tell whether or not it's diet related or work or stress and what have you. Apparently, I don't know. But I'm just doing what they tell me. Steve, yours blood pressure's been high recently. Oh man. You found that your electrician mate for 40 years was found dead in the local woods. Heart attack at 59. Jesus. That's ridiculous. That's far too young. If you think that your blood pressure's starting to get a little bit high, get a machine, get it tested, speak to the doctor, because they can fix it. You don't want to go through what I've been through. Blood pressure's highest at 5 o'clock in the afternoon and lowest at 5 o'clock in the morning. So it'll be a nice little, this is how you wake up, this is what it is, and then check the afternoon. Yeah, it's horrible that. Officially, you've got to lay down 30 minutes before taking the blood pressure, and nobody ever does that. No, absolutely, it never happens. Although I do try, and if I can get out of bed and give myself sort of 5-10 minutes and then take my blood pressure, so I pretty much sort of doing that. But I've got up and been in the bathroom and made a cup of tea and what have you. Yeah, sorry to hear about your mate. That is a horrible thing, that. Especially when it's someone that you've known for such a long time as well. 59. Bugger all, isn't it? I mean, 59, when I was growing up, 59 used to be old. And now that I'm almost 51, it's not old at all. It genuinely isn't. We play five-a-side footy on a Thursday night, or did for 30 years. And two of the fellas that we played with, when they finished, was 78 and 76. And we're still putting loads of effort in and playing every week without fail. Just got to look after yourself, I think it is, isn't it? Just got to be careful. He worked 65 days straight before Christmas, so him and his wife spent Christmas in New York. Man, it's too much. I know if you're working for yourself, especially, and you've got bills to pay, it'd be difficult to say no, take some time off, but you've got to be careful, haven't you? Got to get that balance. Poor sod. She must be absolutely devastated now. Ah, man, horrible that. Your dad's first heart attack was at 48 years old. He's had a few since, but he's still around. Never smoked, never drank alcohol. And obviously, they don't necessarily cause stuff like that, but they can definitely push you into that area where it's more likely to happen. You've got to be at that sort of stage when you start becoming an older dad. You've got to be careful, and you've got to listen to your body as well. Jackie, you would suffer low blood pressure, and they give you iron tablets like bullets. Yeah. I suffered with low blood pressure while I was in the hospital for a while, and one of the doctors said, "Have you any idea why?" So, well, you're the fucking doctor. You tell me. But I did understand why. I said, well, since I've been in here, I've not been drinking alcohol. I've not been eating fast food, and you've been giving me medication to lower my blood pressure. So it's lowering it too fucking much. Get me off those tablets, and I'll be all right. And I was. Yeah, bad luck, bad genes, possibly stress. Stress is far worse than people give it credit. I never thought stress was a thing, to be honest. I thought it was just people swinging the lead. Oh, you fancied a couple of days off, did you? I'm feeling stressed. But no, I had stress and anxiety going back probably 6 years ago, um, and I didn't realise what it was until I had it myself. And I was on medication for 6 months, just enough time to come out the other end and understand what it was that was causing it, and to put things in place, put measures in place to be able to deal with it. Although one of those measures, I think, was probably too much wine, which then caused me a different problem. So it's just fucking, getting around it, isn't it? Listen to your doctors, listen to what they say, and be honest with them when you ask your questions. Do you drink? Oh, I have a couple. One at Christmas, one at Easter. I only drink twice a week. Really, yeah, weekdays and weekends. It is a serious business. And I think we as I was going to say we as a nation, I think we as a people, as a global people, we are getting onto that a bit better, which is why things like Mortimer and Whitehouse Go Fishing is so popular. These relaxed TV shows that you have on, Bob Ross was doing it years ago with his painting. All the stuff that you can chill to, people are looking at it a bit more now, thinking this is the kind of things that we should be doing to try and reduce that stress. We're not just saying it doesn't happen, it's a load of rubbish, but we understand how dangerous it is. Yeah, at least he didn't die working. His hobby was war memorabilia. Someone told him about a tail wheel or a bomber sticking out of the ground. He died dragging it back to his van. Oh, bloody hell. I suppose, yeah, you wouldn't want to do that working at all. That would be absolutely awful. But even so, it's just such a horrible, horrible age. Far too young. Kirsty, the lowest your blood has been 56, and you were asked how and why you are conscious. Jesus, I'm not surprised. Is that why you're conscious or why you're couscous? I had to look twice there. Not everyone's as sensible as me. Seriously, what? I'm not sensible. Workplace has got worse for stress. Work work does seem to get more stressful, despite the fact that workplaces start to understand what stress and pressure is, and they should be able to, in theory, reduce it from you. It's just, but they don't. They just make things fucking worse. It's ridiculous. Yeah, is it systolic or diastolic? Systolic's the high one, which should be fairly high. Diastolic should be a little bit, yeah, 56 would be just about alright, wouldn't it, for as a diastolic? Right, your granddad had reached that time where he wants to chill out and get in a camper van, and yeah, I think everyone should reach that point where, you know what, I've done enough, I've lived enough of the high pressure life, I've made enough money for people, I've worked hard enough, I need to go and relax a bit now. Yeah, the Germans have got a lot to answer for. They bombed our chippies in the war, the Germans. Stan Boardman, what a tit. That was a while ago, so it seems to be better than it was. Good. Stay on top of it, Kirst. You need to really, genuinely, everyone, keep on top of your blood pressure. Because when it suddenly decides to go, it goes. Trust me, it fucking goes. Companies want more and more. Yeah. I'm quite lucky where I work. They put a huge amount of money and time into looking after the staff, which is why I've been looked after pretty much. But you have got to be careful. Yeah, working for yourself must be a nightmare. People who are self-employed, my dad's self-employed, and it's one of those things where when I was off, I was getting paid full money. When he's off, he doesn't get paid. It's mad. Yeah. Also, your blood pressure goes higher as you get older as well. Naturally goes higher. And watch out for dizziness. Helen worked at the Norfolk and Suffolk mental health authorities, and it was so bad she had over a year off with anxiety. Her doctor wouldn't let her go back to work there. I'm not surprised. Of all places to work for, you'd think that would be the place where you would be looked after. That's just, yeah. I know everyone's under that pressure, and I suppose anyone that's working in mental health or in any kind of health area at the moment, everything's paid to the bone. There's no money, but there's got to be something that you can put in place to look after your staff. Just we've always had low blood pressure. You get dizzy if you stand up too quickly. Don't stand up too quickly. Got to be careful doing that, mate. And yeah, the work environment and culture is definitely not the best. And you don't get paid overtime in a box, do you? So you've got to be healthy and happy at work. If you're not, it's where you spend most of your time, really. So that's the theory about it, isn't it? 8 hours in work, 8 hours at home, 8 hours in bed. Sort of the 8 hours of the day. Most of it is spent in work. Because you're travelling for quite a bit of it as well, and what have you, and going out shopping and things. But you're in work constantly. Health workers are the worst in looking after each other and themselves. Yeah. Would explain a lot. Bloody hell, this has flown by today, hasn't it? I think we're going to have to very, very quickly have a look at where Jeff is. Let me press these buttons myself, Jeff. Don't be a knobhead. But a Tales from the Crypt with Jeff. Let's see what he's got to say tonight. Oh, his birthday. He came straight from the centre of the earth. In HD by the look of it. Demonic teenage acne is on another level. Clear as Cell ain't sorting this out. He's got the cheekbones again though there, hasn't he? His best pal growing up, he called him Patches because he buried the bodies in cabbage patches. That's when you know you've got a good friend. Hoo-yah! Suits him that, don't you think? Always knew he'd have a dog. Thought it'd be some kind of mad, muscular, Cerberus devil dog, but no. Just a little blue pooch. Yeah, his 90s haircut is terrible. He's got a habit of stuff like this, Jeff, hasn't he? Just suddenly appearing with mad cheekbones and chiseled jaw, and then a really bad haircut. Yeah, I don't think I could work in mental health either. I can imagine it's really interesting, but I can imagine it can be very tiring mentally on you, for yourself as someone who's dealing with it. Seeing what people have to put up with and on a day-to-day basis, no getting away from it, must be horrible. Right, Steve, she had a manager who kept putting more and more of her work onto Helen's team, and she cracked in a meeting. Not surprised. I've known plenty of managers like that. We always had a theory in our place that when someone's really piss poor at what they do, rather than demote them or move them sideways, move them up so that they're out of the way and they can't do any damage. But then you keep doing that and you're just promoting worse and worse people into positions where they haven't got anything to add. They've got nothing to be able to provide to people. They can't look after anyone. It's stupid. Yeah, Casper, I can imagine that. Your mum's worked there in mental health since 1980. I can imagine there's lots of stuff happening on psychiatric wards. I know we used to have there was a halfway house round the corner from the pub that we had in Southport, and they'd bring in it was normally young adults, young lads, sort of 16 to 22, 23. So the ones who were old enough used to come in the pub, try and get them used to being around people, and it was seeing some of the stuff that they would do self harm and biting themselves and pulling the hair out and things. It's like, oh, these poor sods. I don't know I could work with them. The people that do will have my respect forevermore. It's got to take a certain kind of person to work in something like that, I think. I think anyone who works in any kind of caregiving capacity, fair play to you. It's got to be something that you genuinely want to do. You can't fall into something like that. Yeah, Jackie, you did the same thing. You left your manager's job. The amount of work putting onto you is so bad. The more competent you are, the more work you're expected to do, because you're doing someone else's job for them and not getting paid the money. And of course, as we all know, shit rolls downhill. So if you're not doing what your boss has told you to do, you start having to go to people below you, or in theory, it works that way. And there's always someone who can't deal with it at some point in the chain. Yeah, mental health has never been funded properly. And then when it did start getting funded, at least slightly, it started getting cut to the bone again. Horrific. People need help. There's loads of money out there. It should stop being put into people's pockets and then sent offshore. Start paying for people to be sorted out and given the help they need. So there's enough colleagues in the meeting and you, Helen, well. That's good to see. And backed it up as well. Proper team by the sound of it. Yeah, bad leadership and nepotism, and that seems to be the same place all the time now. Letting people go up the ladder who are in no way in any position to get themselves up the ladder because they shouldn't have to. They shouldn't be able to, rather. Horrible. Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Jackie. It's horrific. And at some point it's got to stop. And if it comes to you just saying, "No, that's it, I've had enough of this," get someone else in there and then someone else is going to break. At some point there should be someone high up saying, "This has got to stop." It shouldn't just be about making money, like you say. It just seems to be that's all it is at the moment. Make cash, make cash, make cash. No, go look after people. Caring the community was a terrible idea, really was. Again, taking money away from proper services, trying to do everything on the cheap. Congratulations, well in, Jackie, up to level 5. Daniel, how you doing, mate? Privatising healthcare doesn't work out well either. Privatising anything doesn't work out well. We've privatised absolutely everything in this country, and everything that has been sold off is now worse than it was years ago. I mean, absolutely everything. We're the only, I think we're the only developed country in the world that has privatised water. I mean, water, which is why we've got water companies putting sewage, raw sewage, into the streams and into the waters. And it's just, I'm making a fortune, and now saying that we have to put the water bills up so we can fix the things that they should have fixed in the first place. Do not pay out dividends to shareholders until you've fixed all the stuff that needs to be fixed. They're not profits until you've fixed all your shit first. Yet water, a basic human right anywhere in the world apart from the UK, which pointed to privatised industry. Everyone used to laugh about British Rail, but trains might have been dirty, it might have been old, but they ran on time. There was always a crew, a staff to run them. There was actual lines going all around the country. That got binned. Royal Mail got sold, and it got sold for way below market value. That's been pared to the bone. We've seen all the stuff with what's happened with Fujitsu and the Horizon system and all that. And now they're having to go to 3 days a week to save money, and they're concentrating on parcels rather than letters because it makes more money for them. Anything that's been privatised is absolutely knackered. In your country, so if something is state-owned enterprise, it'll go bankrupt in a few years. It used to work all right here. It was state-owned. We used to laugh about it, and it was a bit of a joke, but it used to work. Everything now that's been sold off and privatised, the whole thing of privatisation is to make as much money for as little outgoings as possible. So they never ever look after what they're supposed to be doing. It's cut everything to the bone, make as much money as possible, and eventually get out with pockets full of cash. Helen's been working in a local GP surgery for over 7 years. That sounds much more like it, that. Dealing with people on a day-to-day basis. More relaxed, less pressure, more of a family environment, I would have thought. And she's still got to put up with you. Probably now in a better position to put up with you as well, now that she's more relaxed and chilled and zen. Helen, if you're watching, I don't know how you manage it, but you manage him well, putting up with him. Our lovable Silver back there. Yeah, she doesn't stay with you for no reason. You must make a decent cup of tea. But yeah, you're right there, Jackie. Watch your back, Steve. She knows all the right people. You could be in one of those rooms with the padded wallpaper before you know it. Jackie, you don't really like people much. Have you ever thought about taking up a career in politics? You'd be a natural. My tea's going cold. I didn't use me thermos today again. But I've got my Earl Grey tea. I bought a nice little ornamental tea caddy earlier on today. Very sort of 1920s, 1930s, very ornate, gorgeous looking thing. The South African Electric Company cannot provide electricity. Post office is bankrupt. Trains haven't run in years. Public broadcast has been bailed out 4 times in 14 years. SAA went from 156 destinations to 20. The thing is though, even though it's not working that way, If everything gets privatised, it'll be exactly the same. There'll just be people making money on the back of it, and the services will be just as bad. Managing people's hard work. Yeah, I've never had to do that. Well, I did. In my dad's pub, I had to do that, but not had to do it in like a normal work environment. I've always seemed to have been a caseworker rather than a manager. Thankfully. Because I wouldn't like to have to manage someone like me. I'd be an absolute pain in the arse to manage, I'm sure I am. Slightly intelligent, very opinionated, and will not back down. It's not really a good combination, is it, for someone to be managing? They must be sick of me. Yeah, it's always been that bad. You can't remember electricity blackouts when you were there, over there in South Africa. Back in 2008. Jackie, you live for too long. That's why you don't like them. I don't blame you. Right, let's go and check someone else out because I've left this far too late, haven't I, this week?
But Kipper's Vindaloo can't be good for you.
Kippers kicks ass.
There we go. Pigeon, suspected of being a Chinese spy, released by police in India after being detained for 8 months. Detectives suspected the bird was involved in espionage after it was captured near a port in Mumbai. It was found with 2 rings tied to its legs featuring words that appear to be Chinese. Well, isn't everything in the world made in China? Hasn't everything got Chinese writing on it? What does Kipper say? Is he from Peking? That is an absolutely awful dad joke. I mean, terribly awful dad joke. I'm not even gonna... No. Yes, if someone with claggy flaps was telling you what to do, you wouldn't like it. Or you would like it. Depends on what kind of mood you're in. Your government will bail out any private company. Yeah, won't fund NHD. That's the one thing I can never get my head around is people keep going on about how awful socialism is and how wonderful capitalism is, and yet when we had the 2008 global banking crisis, when the markets dictated that all these banks should have gone to the wall, what happened? The taxpayer had to bail them out. So for those, they got socialism, they got the benefits of socialism, whereas the people don't. Let the markets dictate. All those banks should have just gone out of business completely. But no, taxpayers' money had to be used. The rolling blackouts are still a thing, are they? The police there arrested a lovebird once when his human mate was busted as shoplifting. I did see there was a thing in America, wasn't it, where someone got done for murder, and it was a parrot. That was when the police turned up. This parrot kept doing this, saying these things over and over again. Stop hitting me! Stop hitting me! Stop stabbing me or something. It's like, what? So the bird ended up being the prime witness. That's a very, very niche fetish indeed, Barnsley, it is, isn't it? Very niche. Yeah, America famous for only providing socialism for the elite. The UK is exactly the same. It is. All our money goes towards helping them. It should be the other way around. Yeah, why do all the big companies receive all the subsidies and the small businesses left to go bankrupt? Because the subsidies will go into the pockets of the big companies and then filter down into the pockets of the politicians. Whereas the small companies, the small businesses, they just pay the people that work for them, the money goes back into the system and it works perfectly. So they don't want that happening at all, do they? What is a claggy flap? Jackie, do you want to explain what a claggy flap is? Your neighbour's got an African grey parrot. The parrot calls the Jack Russell in the owner's voice and then barks at it like a Rottweiler. Yeah, those African grey parrots. There was a famous one on Merseyside. I'm sure it might have been over in the Wirral, where some shrew of a woman was going out screaming and shouting, trying to find her parrot that had gone missing. Chanel, it was called. That went viral. Chanel, me fucking parrot. It's like Clutie Dumpling, yes. Sweaty Lady Garden. I think I've seen them live. Buckley Tivoli. Money should be out of politics. Donations and lobbying should be illegal, and politicians should not be allowed to have second jobs. Absolutely. There's a fella here at the moment who's just said he's going to have to leave his job. He's a cabinet minister, is he? Because he can't afford to live on £118,000 a year. The fucking hell. You can't afford to live on £118,000 a year. Begs the question why Rishi Sunak, a billionaire, why is he working as as Prime Minister? Don't need to work. Go and enjoy your money. Piss off somewhere else. The only reason why he's in the job is because he's trying to protect his own and his own people's interests. The moneyed people, the bankers. Someone help you out. Someone help you out with your claggy flaps. Okay. Might have some wipes here somewhere if that'll be a help. Don't say we're going to have to do a YouTube video all about claggy flaps. We'll have to get Kev to sort that one out. Yeah. There you go. That speaks volumes. The R followed by I get it. I think the scent has dropped, so to speak. Yes, the kind of thing that is more prevalent during the summer months, I would have thought. There's a lot of clagginess involved in the summer months. Yeah, we do speak in mysteries sometimes, which is, I quite like the idea of someone somewhere around the world watching one of these on demand afterwards and just reading the chat, thinking, what on earth is this? Yeah. Does Lady Garden, does that translate to Dutch? I'm not 100% sure it does. I was 12 when we left, obviously, so there's a lot of Dutch I didn't learn while I was there. Yes, you do now. You will learn things in these streams. I always do anyway. You're thinking you are a lady, you have a garden, therefore you are very much at risk of claggy flaps had a week. Be very, very wary. Be careful. Yeah, Kirsty, don't eat claggy flaps. Are they a bit like Pop Tarts or apple turnovers? You still don't get cod piece. A cod piece, of course, used to be from Shakespearean days, wasn't it? The little sort of thing that covers the yeah, cover the cod's head, so to speak. Yes, much better than Betty Swallocks. Yes, from the days of Henry VIII with his cod piece. Covers the cod dangle. Cricketers have them, yes. Those are evil things as well. The box knots cricketers, by the way. It used to be made out of a plastic, didn't it? And if the ball hit it, it would split and open and then contract and pinch the skin. Lots of people have ended up, lots of cricketers have ended up in a lot of pain because of that. Schaamboy or Kulsak in Dutch, right? I have to write that down in me big book of Dutch. Their entire harnesses with 20 centimetres of codpiece sticking out. Just to brag, yes. Kirsty, you're not stoned and now you're confused by this chat. Imagine how you'd be if you were stoned watching this. Jackie, you're in pain watching cricket. A lot of people are, to be honest. And I love it as well. I love the fact that there's people around the world who just don't like the fact that you can watch a game for that lasts for 5 days and then at the end of it is a draw. That is just such an English thing to do, to piss off the entire world. Steve, you couldn't find a cricket box big enough. I think you'd be able to 3D print one now. Or 4D print one if you need one. You had a talkie when practicing Krav Maga to protect your groin. Ugh. Yeah, that's one of those endeavours where you'd have to be very, very careful, wouldn't you? My godfather still is a black belt, third dan in Mudokwan and fourth dan in Shotokan, I think it was. I think he fought. He was a full contact karate for Great Britain, or something like that. He was mad hard man. He tried to teach me how to do that, and I just nah, I'm all right. I'm gonna go and play my guitar instead. Cod comes from Middle English and means scrotum. Yep. Yes, Jackie, to stand on to see what's happening. Right, we're going to have to go to the third one of the triumvirate, aren't we? Horace. See what he's got to say. Would you still love me if I ate your marmalade and your pet rabbit? I am starting to get very, very concerned about Horace and him hanging around with Jeff. Very, very strange. Yeah, Krav Maga. So Harry could kill us 25 different ways. Easily. In complete silence. That was before you got old and stiff, Harry. How do you think we are? Us old boys. You'd be able to still be able to kill us easily. And I'm not going to say unalive like a lot of YouTubers do. Don't understand all this stuff about changing the names, changing the words. I mean, who sang Mr. Brightside? It wasn't the Unalivers, was it? An idiots. You stop practicing when you're pregnant. A good time to stop. Definitely a good time to stop. Yes, I say Harik would have to catch you first, but don't forget she's already been to South Africa, so she might already know the lay of the land. You'd have to be careful. You have to be very, very careful. Emily Blunt does Krav Maga, does she? I did not know that. You had a six-pack when you were practicing. I wouldn't have thought you'd be able to drink while you were practicing that kind of stuff. Oh, you mean six-pack, stomach six-pack. I have never ever had a six-pack in my life, not even when I was young. That's what happens when you live in a pub, I suppose. Yes, Saf Hadavik knows where Carpstat is. Yes, Rage Against the Machine, unaliving in the name. I don't get why they do it on YouTube. As if to think, that they're going to stop people from using words, normal words that you can use in any conversation. I had one where it was just covered with a bit. Right. Yes. At the moment I've got a one pack, unfortunately. Covered that earlier on, didn't I? I was 15 stone 7, I think, today. 98.3 kilos or something. So I'm still below 100. Still below 100 kilos. I think it's alright. I can't do any exercise though. I can't really do sit-ups or anything. In fact, I can't do anything. So I couldn't even try and build a six-pack at the moment. Do spies really kill people? I don't know. They must do something. Unless 007, James Bond, has been lying to us all these years. 007, Bond, James Bond, License to Tickle. You saw Rage Against the Machine, one of the first big bands you saw on Pink Pop. It's a hell of a band. I always liked Tom Morello. I love his guitar playing. He's heavy, but also he's got a real feel about him. I like his style. Yeah, Barnsley, don't pick a fight with Hadavik if you see her in the pub. She'll duff you up. Sit-ups suck. Yep. Probably the reason why I didn't do them even when I was young. Quite happy to run around the gym playing football for an hour at a time. Blood and sweat everywhere, but nah, none of that stuff. Same as pushing weights. Not doing that either. Which is why I've only ever had little skinny arms. Yeah, spies would give themselves away if they started killing people. But I think they've already started doing that by just introducing themselves as Bond, James Bond, 007, licensed to whatever. You're not much of a spy, are you, if you're telling people who your name is, what your name is, rather than where you work. Yeah, all the martial arts stuff. And they do, don't they? Umbrella, poison tip umbrellas, unaliving people. So yeah, they must do, mustn't they? Spies like us. The first international band to tour South Africa after apartheid was UB40, and you were there. Ah, UB40, yeah. Makes perfect sense. A very multicultural band. Yes, Kirsty, unless they make it look like an accident or natural causes. Um, like people getting polonium poisoning in wherever it was. Where was it in the UK? Down south, wasn't it? Yeah, what music should we listen to? Unalive Me Softly with his song, or Unalive in Time? Too much love will unalive you. Yeah, yeah. Now IB45. Salisbury, that was it, wasn't it? By the cathedral. What was the KGB called now? New KGB. That's what normally happens, isn't it? You put new in front of it and it's revived. Wasn't the Ukrainian president also poisoned? There's quite a few that were it. Litvinenko, wasn't it? Got poisoned. You can't really hide stuff like that, can you? When you go from looking normal to looking like you've just been fried, all his hair was missing, he'd lost all kinds of weight. It's not a cough, is it? You're not suffering from a cough. Yeah, horrible. There was a good series on BritBox about spies. Loads of stories about it. Proper um, real stories about them. A lot of the honey trap, Russian honey trap spies over in America. Obviously, stunningly beautiful girls who were willing to sell their soul to the motherland and do whatever they wanted to. Just mad. FSB, yeah, could be them. Fucking scary bastards. He did, he did Steve, then he turned into Deadpool. Sorry, sorry, YouTube. Unalive pool. Yeah, why don't you do it here in the UK? Thin out the herd. Go to Eton. Just do it round here for a bit. Have they changed the name, or are they still the KGB? I know it used to be the NKVD, didn't it? Or the well, so yeah, sure it was the NKVD. I must have checked this now, aren't I? Yes, it used to be the NKVD and Cheka before that. Presently, it's known as the Federal Security Service. I wonder if that's what FSB stands for as well. What was the English Secret Service called? Or British, yeah. It'll be MI5 and MI6. Ministry of Intelligence number 5 and Ministry of Intelligence number 6. But, and this is fantastic, this one, MI6 doesn't exist, despite the fact that you can go past the headquarters. But doesn't exist. Well, they're there. Yeah, we know that, but it doesn't exist. But it's there. Yeah, no, but it doesn't exist. All right. The whole world knows it's there. The whole world knows it exists. Oh yeah, we know, yeah, but it doesn't exist. Here we go, Saft. If the music is interwoven into the movie and it advances the plot, it is a musical. Right. So, if it isn't and it's just a song, then it's not a musical. But if it's part of the plot and moves it forward, it is a musical. Okay? Mandy, if you're still there, did the music in your opinion, in Team America World Police, did that advance the plot? Yes, the nukes in Falkle, they're not there. But be careful. No dropping heavy objects near the stuff that doesn't exist. Where is MI 1 to 4? Very, very good question. But there are departments who are numbered and they are part of the Ministry of Intelligence. So I would think maybe the military intelligence, the SAS, are they one of them? Would something like that be? Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Bohemian Rhapsody won't be a musical. That's, yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. In that case, Team America, World Police, definitely a musical. Right. Fair dues. We did not know that. Yep. America, fuck yeah. Brilliant film that. Sorry, brilliant musical that. Are there also an MI7 and MI8? Maybe the upgrade is MI7 and MI8, the next version. Like the iPhone and the Samsung Galaxy. There's been some really good books and stuff about MI5 and MI6. If you ever get a chance, read Spycatcher by Peter Wright, which is the UK aspect of it, and then Next Stop Execution by Oleg Gordievsky, which is the Russian side of it. A lot of the same stories told from two different sides of the divide, and Oleg Gordievsky defected to the UK and has lived here for decades now. But really interesting to hear what he was going through while he was acting as a double agent being run by the UK. I love stuff like that. Yes, be careful what you put into Google. Kirsty, be very, very careful what you put into Google. Yes, the secret British Galaxy service. Ultra. We are. I bet you there's loads of super, super secret stuff that we don't know about. Here we go. MI1 was responsible for code breaking. MI2 dealt with Russian and Scandinavian intelligence. Ooh. MI3 was concerned with the rest of Eastern European. MI4 was responsible for aerial reconnaissance. They were all discontinued or changed. Yeah, now see, I would have thought that MI4 and things like that, they're the ones that flew in Spitfires during the war and took the bifocal. It's not bifocal, is it? It's what's the name of it? But he took pictures, but they took them from two different sides. So that when you put the pictures side by side and look through an eyepiece, it looked like it was in 3D. There's a name for it and I can't think. But yeah, I would have thought that'd be the kind of thing that they dealt with. All part of the army, but as MI5 and MI6, but then a separate sort of spy side of it. Scandinavian intelligence during the time of the Viking raids makes proper sense, that one. Because to be fair to Mano, was Norway a neutral country? They weren't they? Stereoscopic, that's the one, Saf, yep. Arvin woke up. Must have heard my voice and must have known it was pee time. Yeah, what's the great thing about stereoscopic pictures being taken? That's when they first sort of realised that the V2 rocket, where that was. Sweden was neutral. Yeah. I know, was it Norway or Sweden where we got all the ball bearings from? And they weren't supposed to be coming out. We weren't supposed to be allowed to send them over, so they were being shipped out, hidden. And the ball bearings that we used to making turrets move and things in Norway was invaded by the Germans. Of course, it was. Yes, I watched Heroes of Telemark and things like that. Of course, Norway. But the ball bearings come out of Norway. I'm sure they did, and they had to be flown out by resistance people. Heroes of Telemark. What a film that is! I managed to, after all those years of watching it, not being able to find a smock that looked anything like it, I managed to find a smock that looks very much like the one that Kirk Douglas was wearing. It's in there now in my wardrobe. Love it. It's a Boss smock. Ball bearings can be used in petrol bombs, says our Northern Ireland correspondent. If anyone knows, Jackie will know. Yes, IED in Northern Ireland, an NIED. Yeah, ball bearings, nails, anything shrapnel-y will cause damage, and it doesn't take a huge amount of explosive either, does it? Just because everything's contained as it starts to come out, that's when it starts causing all kinds of kerfuffles. Sweden was neutral, that's the one, yeah. I knew one of them was. Obviously, yeah, Norway wasn't neutral because it was invaded by them there Germans there. Saltpeter and ball bearings are perfect IED ingredients. I am starting to worry about the people in this chat. How have we gone from claggy flaps to petrol bombs and IEDs and things? We used to buy German optics through Sweden. Ah, right. Makes perfect sense, yes. Denmark wasn't neutral. Denmark would have been invaded as well, wouldn't it? Then bloody Germans, up to no good. MI7 was a branch of the British War Office's Directorate of Military Intelligence with responsibilities for press liaison and propaganda. So MI7 would have been the people that did Alexandria, where they built the fake city so many miles to the south. It's interesting, all that stuff, isn't it? Balls is the common factor, yes. You'd have to have big ones to be able to start building IEDs. Right, so the branch was originally established in the First World War and disbanded after the signing of the armistice. Is that the reason why MI5 and MI6 don't officially exist, or they're not acknowledged? Gunpowder is 15% charcoal, 10% sulphur and 75% saltpeter from pigeon dung, yes. Which is why guano is very expensive, isn't it? There's a place, isn't there, in the middle of the Pacific, which is just full of bird shite, which is worth an absolute fortune for that very reason. During the war, that's where we got our sniper scopes from. And I suppose, of course, they weren't allowed to get them out to us, but lots of sneaky people in there sorted it out for us. I did not know that. Very interesting stuff, that, Barnsey. Saf, you searched ingredients to make a homemade rocket engine. You end up learning about fertilizer and nitrous, yeah. Very. Again, I'm slightly worrying. MI8 was responsible for signals intelligence and was created in 1914. Yep. Harry could kill us in a sleep and make explosives at the same time. Guano is fertilizer. Yep, it's bird shite. And there's an island somewhere in the middle of the Pacific which is absolutely loaded with it. And it is their one sort of export that they've got. And it's all for turning into weapons. Yes, Jeff, we know you're a pretty boy. He needs more than a lollipop, he needs a slap, to be honest with you. It's batshit. It is. The whole thing's batshit crazy. Yes. Enrico, you a really highly trained spy. Is this what we need to watch out for? Is this what this is? That's why you've been trained in Krav Maga, isn't it? So you can look after yourself. Should you ever be put in a position where the enemy are after you, whichever we don't even know which side you're on. You could be on anyone's side, couldn't you? We don't know. If I don't log in on Wednesday to do the live, send help. Yes, Kirsty, you do need to leave that rabbit hole, the military intelligence stuff, otherwise you'll never leave. And Daniel will end up with another 27 video series about the British military in I don't even know what you call it. There you go, that's the way to introduce yourself. The name's Bond, Heinrich Bond. lazyGetl. Used to make pipe bombs as kids with fertiliser and sugar. Yes, don't be doing that. Do not be doing that. Do you know what? Actively giving recipes for IEDs, does this mean that we're now officially part of the dark web? I'll have to start watching out in case someone comes through the window at about 2 o'clock in the morning. Pool acid and brake fluid is a better bomb. Fucking hell. So if you're worrying me with all this, you know too much about this stuff. Very worrying. Anyway, it's time we're on. It's far too late. I've been on for 1,000,000 hours already. There'll be Dutch dogs needing a pee. There's a very tall Scouse man who needs to put his feet up. Yep, Lego is up to it. How is Lego? Is he alright? We love our Lego. Didn't have the internet and PlayStation, you went out and made your own fun. Fair play. Ah well. Ah well, as I say, ah well. There's anything more to be said than ah well. Thank you very much for yet another interesting evening. I'm going to be really interested looking back. I will have to watch this one back and look at the chats to see what happened. Some very, very strange things happening there tonight. But always enjoyable. So yeah, I'll set another one up for Wednesday. Everyone can go away and your homework will be go and try and find another IED with a recipe and see if we can get arrested and binned off YouTube. Like I was in a good mood. Tried for a walk through town yesterday and he's moving better now. Oh, brilliant. Walking's a bit difficult, of course. He hops with his front leg and walks with his hind leg. He's going to get the hang of it. He will get there, but that's good to see. He's in a better mood. Yep. So, thank you very much, and remember...
That's all we've got time for this evening, so it's good night from me.
And it's good night from him. Good night. Good night.
And that's that.